morning we'll be taking a look at Ephesians 4, but as you're turning there or as you're clicking on your technology device to get there, there are just so many things that seem to be happening currently. We have our celebration of the Lord's table this morning. I've been told the NFL kicks off this week. Elma Hunt offering for missions in Virginia kicks off this week. And my heart is still in missions. I understand the principles. I understand the concepts. I see the need. I really get that idea of enculturating and becoming one with your people. Aren't those things important, Brother Jim? So important. But I have to be honest with you. See, I tried to do that. I wore red today. I realize I am in Virginia. I realize there are so many here that would be saying HTTR. However, I am still a Pittsburgh boy. So now that we got that little tiny, let's just lay it down here so that we're not, just so everyone's on the same page and there's no miscommunications. Every so often you need a moment of brevity, and I'm just so saddened that Jamie Prowse isn't here to witness my attempt to come forward. This morning we are going to be taking a look at what kind of church should we be. And as we begin that, I am going to start us with a very simple and basic question for each one of us out there. And here it is. Would you be willing this morning, or how many here this morning would be willing to pledge themselves to be active, dedicated, serving members of Bethlehem Baptist Church in 30 years? Please raise your hand. In 30 years. In 30 years, you will pledge right now that God will have you here actively serving Him. How many do I see? One hand? Two? Okay, now I'm starting to see a few more go up, but I'm going to ask. And I hate to do this, and I said I wouldn't do this, but I'm going to put Barbara Barwick on the. 30 years, your hand didn't go up, Barbara. Why? No, that's not what I asked. If you would be willing to pray for Bethlehem Baptist Church. I said, would you be willing to commit right now to be an active, dedicated, serving member of Bethlehem Baptist Church in 30 years? To quote the great theologian Yoda, there is do and do not. There is no try. You didn't believe you could get away with that. You throw the great theologian in there, you can use anyone in a quote. You see, the issue is in 30 years, I will be 76. Yes, 76. In 30 years, that would be at least 15 years beyond the longest tenured pastor in Bethlehem Baptist Church's history. That's a rough one to say, yeah, that's going to happen. I look at some saints out there, and I'm not beginning to guess at age estimates, but 30 years is a long time. And as I was going through my Rolodex, sitting down thinking of all of the young, enthusiastic, energized individuals if I put 30 more years on each of those ages, I wonder how energized and enthusiastic we will be. And then I turn my eyes to another set of people. 1, 2, 3. Fourth pew. Right side. I'm just kind of overlooking you, John. Fourth pew. And I think all these youngsters, they'll be in the prime of their lives. But I also realize that families and jobs and careers have a way of calling young people away. This coincided with me reading a lovely article from the president of Lifeway stating why churches die. Because it is an issue in our society. And he came up with 5 lovely reasons why most churches die. The first reason is they refuse to see reality. Life's good. The doors are open on Sunday morning. We go in, we sit down, we do what we do, we go home. That's fine. We don't realize grayness setting in. Yeah, we know we have some aches and pains, but, I still think I could go 9 innings with the Nationals. And based on all of the individuals that are not allowed to play come tomorrow night, I may still have a go with the Steelers. Refusal to accept the reality. The second, too many times when churches are dying, they are more concerned about the Great Comfort than the Great Commission. A third reason, very closely related to the second, is churches that die usually refuse to accept responsibility. It just happened. I don't know how it happened, it just happened. The world was against us. Somehow, just poof. Fourth, churches that die tend to spend more time fighting and criticizing than doing anything else. We all know how that would work. Fifth, they too often confuse negotiables with non-negotiables. Do you know what I mean there? They make stuff the priority that was never meant to be the priority. Such really important stuff like, what color suit should the pastor wear on Sunday morning? We find blue to be distasteful. It should be black or maybe a dark charcoal gray. We'll give him a little wiggle room. The other stuff, the important stuff. Should it be glass cups for communion or plastic? These are the things that the gospel hangs on. Trading negotiables for non-negotiables. You see, our society is struggling to keep churches alive and active. And part of that is because our American society can lump churches into 4 distinct categories. This morning we're going to look through those relatively quickly, and we will try to determine, no, we won't try, we will determine which one we are supposed to be. And we're going to do this in the means of almost like a game show. I am going to let you tell me what these types of churches are, but we're going to give you an illustrated help, so you're not on your own, okay? Are we ready for the first one? Here it is. The first type of church that we have in the United States. What's that? A mausoleum. What's a mausoleum? I'm starting. This is great. I love this. It's a place where, one more time, we bury people. The purpose is to put to rest the dead. Those who are most affiliated with it, the staff working at the mausoleum, what do they tend to do? Bury people. And those that they're not burying, they attempt to comfort. They do what they can to help them get through that moment of time. And after that period of time is over, they disappear. What is the expectation of those who go to the mausoleum to put their loved one to rest? Comfort. Just help me get through this moment. Nothing more. Take care of me for this short period of time. You see, this is one of the churches that American society has. It's a church, are you ready for this? That is dead, but no one's told them yet. They're kind of walking around. They're doing whatever it is they think to do, whatever they need to do to get through that day, without any vitality, without any excitement, without any purpose beyond making it through that day. What do you think they expect, this kind of church would expect from their staff? Help us just make it through. Comfort me. Care for me. Love me. I'm hurting, I'm broken, and I'm done. What do you think the survival rate would be for a mausoleum church? Our next one. We have the museum church. What's the purpose of a museum? History about the past. It is the place where we go to remember the great accomplishments that have gone on, the wonderful discoveries, and to make them almost seem like new again. Is there anything wrong with a museum? Wow, that one got quiet. Is there anything wrong with a museum? I'm not going to... I am not going to judge you for your answer. I love museums. What was that back there? Depending on your interest. Man, I love the Natural History Museum at the Smithsonian. That's just fun. I could easily spend a day there. I could also easily spend a day at many museums. There's nothing inherently wrong with a museum. It lets us know where we have been. Who is mostly employed at museums? Curators. Who was that? Caretakers. Volunteers. What do the volunteers do? Whatever the staff doesn't do. Wow. That hurt. Dust off old relics. Don't most museums have individuals that tell you what this is? This guides. They let you know that you don't know about what happened way back then. That's what the staff does. What do the patrons, those who are going to the museum, what do? They learn. What was that? They pay to get in. They pay to get in, and I heard a younger voice say something. They learn. They go, they pay because there is something of benefit there, and they learn. The young people are now arguing over who said that. This is priceless. This is great. You were the young person that said, there you go. 30 years, I expect it. A museum church is the same thing as a museum. They have all of their relics from the past when they were so important and they were cutting edge and great things happened. Is there anything wrong with that? No, provided you don't stay there. Because no matter how great the television is, no matter how wonderful pens and paper are, we have the ability to do more quicker. You should be receiving an email in 3 nanoseconds. Life has changed. The glory days are just that. They were glorious, but there is time to move forward. What do you think happens in museum churches around the United States? What do you think their staff does? They view, they teach, and they make sure that the relics are taken care of. Because that was given 237 years ago by a saint. Uh-oh, here's trouble, because I'm counting about 120-some saints already here this morning. What is the obligation of a member in a museum church? To preserve the past and know how great we once were. Oh, I forgot that little sign. Do not touch. Now, we laugh, but surely that would never happen in God's church. There would be nothing off limits just because it's there. Third type of church in the United States. A coliseum. Man, y'all are good at this. What's a coliseum? The purpose of a coliseum is to gather people together to watch what's going on. To kill. Okay? I'm not sure what coliseums you're hanging out lately, Barbara, but whoo. That's, in the past, that's what's done. We have our modern day gladiators. We have Heinz Field, FedEx Field. We have not Because I know my son gives you a lot of grief, Anita. We have Cowboy Stadium. God love him, someone has to. Couldn't, just have to. What does the staff, what do the hired people do, the paid people do at the Coliseum? Whoa, I got a whole lot of stuff at one time, and I don't think anyone said the same thing. Crowd control. Crowd control. Why do they need to control the crowd? Because there's a lot of them, and there's something exciting going on that everyone somehow wants to be a part of. What else do the hired people do? Whoa, wait, what was that? Event coordinators. You know. Has anyone ever been to a concert? They always mention the name of the group that brought the group. Why? They're the coordinators. They are important. They did all this. Who else is paid at the Coliseum? Promoters. Who else is paid? The entertainers. When these bands come into Hampton Roads and they play, they get paid, right? I'm showing my age. But the Eagles get a salary. Luke Bryan gets a salary. The Dallas Cowboys get a salary. What do the members do? They show up, they pay, and they have a seat, and they watch. And sometimes, now I know Bengals fans and the Cowboy fans have no idea what this is, but sometimes they get excited. Sometimes there's an emotional response of, woohoo! Man, I'm sorry, you're just so easy, so easy. What do you think happens in a Coliseum church? Entertaining. Oh, this is wonderful. What do you consider entertaining? I like rock music. It's now being referred to as classical rock, which really scares me, but that's what I like. I enjoy that. I am entertained by that. But when I have my eldest son in the vehicle with me, and I am listening to my classic rock, what's your response? No. He doesn't find it entertaining. And you know what happens? Usually there's, Dad, change the radio. It starts that way. And when I don't, do we have to listen to this still? Then the third time, he takes the initiative to just go right ahead and change the station. There is complaining, there is criticizing. There are things going on that weren't meant to be going on. In a Coliseum church, what is the staff called upon to do? Keep us entertained. We want to see the show. Yeah, no one's going to hire me in an entertaining church. The shift goes from what kind of display and production can we put on from perhaps what we needed. The fourth kind of church. I am scanning for someone to apologize to, but I don't see him here, so I don't have to apologize. That's good. I like not having to apologize. What is this? Military. What was that? Academy. We have West Point, we have Annapolis. The academy. What's the academy do? Train. Who do they train? Troops, soldiers, young people, officers, leaders. They train everyone who walks through those hallowed gates. I find it somewhat interesting that the first three we nailed like that. And there was struggle when it came to the academy. What does the leadership at the academy do? Teach. Core principles. Equip. Discipline. Maintain order. Give orders. What kind of orders could they possibly give? They're in charge. They should be giving it. Someone has to. Teach them how to march. Why do they teach them how to march? To stay together. Unit cohesion. I have a question for y'all. Now, I've told you before, I have not served in the military, so I need some help here. How do you take that hill over there if you're standing over here? You got to get there somehow. Quickly. Was that you, Katie? You need to slide down a little bit. I think your mom is rubbing off too much on you. You need to get there somehow. And marching's just as good as any other form. What do the newbies just entering in there? What do they do? Shake with fear. After they get over the shaking with fear, what do? They obey. They train so that one day what? That they can take that hill, that they can make decisions, that they can train. What would happen if the troops disappeared from an academy? It would close. It would close. Ephesians chapter 4, starting in verse 11. And he gave some to be apostles, some to be prophets, some to be evangelists, some to be pastors and teachers, in order to equip the saints for the work of ministry, for the building up of the body of Christ, until we all attain to the unity of the faith and the knowledge of the Son of God, to mature manhood, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, so that we may no longer be children, tossed to and fro by waves and carried about by every wind of doctrine, by human cunning, by craftiness in deceitful schemes. Rather, speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into Him who is the head, unto Jesus, from whom the whole body, joined and held together by every joint which is equipped, when each part is working properly, makes the body to grow so that it builds itself up in love. Why did God, in His infinite wisdom, and we all agree that He has infinite wisdom, He knows what He's doing, right? Why did God call some people to be apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, teachers? Why? They're all needed. That's not what Scripture says. to equip the saints, to train the saints. Train them to do what? Works of service. God, who knows what He's doing, God who has created all that we see and know and understand, has called out individuals and given them to the churches for the reason of training the churches to do ministry. That should not be a radical idea. But it is. It has become a radical idea in our world because we have so bought a false set of goods. We have bought a set of goods that says that our church's staff is there to heal our boo-boos. They're there to remind us how great our church was in 1784. Why? Because we did something spectacular then. None of us were here to see it. None of us were told of it by a direct witness. But it happened, and we know because it was in newspaper, so, we must stay there. God, as much as I wish He did not call me to entertain you. One, because I can't sing. Two, I have no rhythm. I cannot dance. And yet, most of our churches are struggling to break out of one of those types of institutions. God has given apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, teachers to equip the saints for the work of ministry, for the building up of the body of Christ. In our Coliseum church, we failed to mention that winners get medals. They got those little wreaths. Felt good. The Olympics, they give medals. Gold, bronze, silver. In the church, we don't so much give medals, but sometimes we give pats on the back. And we should pat each other on the back when we do stuff that is worthy of it. But you know what tends to happen?
No one patted me on the back this week. And I even dusted that antique Bible that's in. Nobody noticed. They don't love me.
We have fallen for a fake bill of goods. We're not gathered here to sit down and witness something that's going on. We're not here just to learn about some great facts that happened 2,000 years ago. I sure hope we're not here because we think we're at the end of our rope and there's nothing else for us to do. We should gather together because this is the place where we get equipped to take on the world. There is a whole big world out there that is struggling with so many problems. And you know what? They are real problems, and they need someone to speak into their life. Would you agree with that statement? Now, I have a question for you. Realistically, how many of those people do you think I can pull out of their situation? Throw out a number, folks. 3. You might think more highly of me than I do. 3. Are there more than 3 hurting people in Chesterfield County? What happens to all those others? Somebody else's responsibility. Let me ask you, if we were a church that understood her calling and understood her purpose as the light of the world, and we gave training on how to reach our world, how many do you think we could reach that's gathered in this room? Hundreds is more than 3. Anyone want to argue that? I'm looking at Michael. He likes to argue. No. Then, folks, why aren't we doing it? Why don't we get serious about what God has called us to do? Why don't I get serious about what God has called me to do? Man, we live in a hurting world. God has specially gifted the church as a means to reach out, to comfort, to save, and to grow people. That's kind of what it says. To do the work of ministry. The pastors equip to help the members do ministry. We are an army that's just sitting around waiting for orders. But I fear sometimes we get too relaxed in our waiting. The church in the United States has been given that call at ease for way too long. And what I have learned in just a few years of being a parent, and I don't consider having just Michael being a parent, because we needed Jason because, with one child, you kind of know exactly what's going on. Something's broke, you know who did it. Two children, now there's stuff going on, and there's intricacies. And if we do not keep them busy, it's funny how they start to... I assume that's a lot about what basic training is about. If we just tire out these young people, they're not going to be able to get into it about anything. They'll just be too tired. And we will get the added benefit of them being in shape, so when we ask them to do something, they can. Pastors and teachers are to equip the saints for the work of ministry and the building up of the body until we all attain to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to mature manhood. Until we're capable of operating on our own, until we reach the point that we are elite special forces. Isn't that wonderful? God expects you, and I'm looking at each and every one of you, to be an elite, special force troop for Him. Now, you know what the beauty is in all of this? That God calls us to unity. Do you know what unity means? You know what? Humor me. What's unity mean? Binding together as one. I like that definition. That's a good definition. Unity is that we're all on the same page going the same way. What unity is not is everyone's just like everyone else. That's different. Unity means we work with our own special giftedness, our own special wirings to fulfill a common purpose that we are each striving for. Can you imagine what our military would look like if everyone that went through any branch of the service came out as just a sniper? No one could operate a radio. No one could give an order. Nobody could do anything except hit a person 500 feet down the road. It would be a very different military. That's why we need people organized and working in every nook and cranny. It's called our giftedness. And what's really interesting is if we were to have read a few verses before we started here, Christ gives us a giftedness. According to His grace, He has given you something that you just naturally do well that will bring people that much closer to Him. Now, if you want to argue with me, please feel free. All I will do is turn to my Bible and say, see? And if you want to argue, that means you're arguing with God, not with me. Now, the major question might be, what is that giftedness that I have? We want you to find out. In fact, we are going to ask you to discover that. We understand that the church is meant to be an academy. It is a place that doesn't remain static. It doesn't remain stagnant. It doesn't just sit there and say, boy, you know, in 1987, I was one heck of a baseball player. And it was good, and life was great, and my name was in the paper every week, and everyone just thought I was something, and colleges were calling the house. It's not just about glory days. It's not supposed to be about glory days. Glory days are supposed to be September 11th, 2016, and September 12th, 2016. Today and tomorrow. And you know what I love about tomorrow? Tomorrow never comes. It's always just that next day away, which means we never get satisfied where we are. There's one more thing to reach for. You have a giftedness. Some of you might know what that is. Some you don't have to look too long. You can just tell. John has the ability to play a guitar. Dreama has the ability to play a piano. Barbara Barwick can make you feel like you are the most special, wonderful person in the world. Some people it's harder to find.
What in the world does that pastor do? Well, I'm still trying to figure that out.
If you don't know what it is, we are going to give you a tool today that you can know.